Welcome to my channel. My name's Lyndon. Thank you so much for coming. In this video, I want to talk about something that comes up a lot. So I'm a private saxophone instructor, and lots of my clients, especially when they're first starting out with the saxophone, they are really scared to improvise, and that's what this video is going to be about. It's going to be about the fear and the being scared to improvise. And what the first thing that I would say is that if you're scared to improvise, that's okay, because you're not alone. And hopefully I'm going to give you some things to think about which might change that for you and give you some strategies so that you can move on from that place of being scared and start to enjoy improvising, which, by the way, is a fabulous thing to be able to do. Now, if you're already a very confident improviser, then that's fabulous, and I'm really pleased. But you might want to watch this video anyway and just hear what I've got to say, because I've got all of this experience, and sometimes I can say things to people that can change their outlook and their approach for the better, and maybe you could pick something up to share with somebody else, even if you're a good improviser. So it might be worth sticking around and just having a listen to some of the approaches that I found work really well, and maybe you can use them and help other people. I really hope so. Before I dive into this, I just want to say thank you so much to you lovely saxophone world out there. Hello world, saxophone YouTube world. It's such a pleasure to hear from people across the world in all of these amazing different countries. Thank you very much for your positive comments. Please subscribe to the channel. It really helps help the channel grow, and if the channel grows, then I'm going to make more videos and be more engaged. So please do subscribe and share my videos, and please hit the like button. And if you want to pass a positive comment, you'd be surprised how much impact that has. And if you want to buy me a coffee, you can do. And if you've already bought me a coffee, thank you so much. That really helps me pay my bills and pay my mortgage, funnily enough. Right, let's get into it then. So being scared to improvise is a pretty normal state of affairs. Most people are really scared. And if you think about what kind of things frighten you, well, the unknown is kind of scary. So if you're in a situation and you don't know what to do, then that's pretty scary. And that's one of the things that I want to change today, is that I want to give you some things that you can know what to do when you're improvising. And these things are really simple and really straightforward. So the first thing, yeah, you're not alone. Lots of people feel the same way. And there is another way that you can feel about improvising which doesn't involve fear. And I want to knock out some common misconceptions about what improvising is. So some people, and I'm not saying you think this way, but some people think that improvising is just random notes, especially when they hear somebody like John Coltrane improvise at a very kind of intense level. It kind of does sound like random notes, just all kind of just notes coming in from everywhere, and it sounds kind of chaotic and random. But I want to dispel this idea, because there is nothing chaotic or random about improvisation. It is exceptionally organized. Even when you are doing it at the highest of levels, these are structures that you've probably practiced beforehand, mixing with other structures that you've practiced beforehand, maybe connected with some more spontaneous stuff. But it's not random and it's not chaotic, and I want you to really hang on to those two things. And what it is instead, the mistake that people, when they think it's random and chaotic, what they're mistaking is randomness and chaos for something else, which is spontaneity, being spontaneous. Now here's the thing, if you're scared to improvise, I want to let you know something really amazing, right? You're improvising all the time. You do it every single day of your life. Because think about the last conversation that you had. Did you plan that out beforehand? Did you work out what you were going to say in that conversation beforehand? Did you write down every word, or did you think about what you're going to say? No, probably not. What you did was that when you were having a conversation, depending on the situation that you found yourself in, or depending on what the other person in the conversation said to you, would dictate what you said, and you would draw on a whole bunch of words and phrases which you've previously learned and that you've used before and that you know will fit in this kind of scenario. Now, it's not like it was planned, but it's not like it was random chaos. If it was random chaos, your conversation would sound like yucca plant, saxophone, camera in front of me, music stand, tension, lighting, YouTube. That's random. These are just random words that have no connection with each other whatsoever. And that's not the case in a conversation. It's just that it's spontaneous. It's not exactly planned, but you're drawing off a resource of words and phrases that you've used before. So you are already improvising, and all we need to do is to map that improvisational ability to your saxophone playing. That's all it is. And the way that we're going to do that is with a scale. So it would be really good if we could pick a scale that you didn't have to think about too hard. So I'm hoping that everybody that's watching this video understands and can play C major scale. If you can't, that's okay, it doesn't matter, but in order to be able to improvise, you're going to need to be able to play C major without looking at any notes. I'm going to write down what those notes are anyway. So the notes are going to be C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And actually I'm going to go to the D, and this is going to be a palm key. And all of these notes have got the octave key on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a backing track on, and I'm just going to play in 2 octaves, C major, up and down. Have a listen. And already starts to sound quite nice, but clearly we're not improvising yet, but just have a listen. Coming down from there, 2, 3, and. Okay, cool. So that doesn't sound very improvisational, and it's not. And what I'm doing is I'm playing one note I'm playing on the beat. So have a listen. So I'm going, can you hear it? 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. So I was playing C, D, E, F, G. So I was playing on the beat. Now, if we compare, again, what I was doing to language, just imagine if I was going to say a sentence to you and I said, I am off to the shops now to buy some cat food. Is there something I can get you? Now that clearly doesn't sound very engaging. It sounds kind of robotic. It sounds odd. And yet that's what I'm doing when I practice my scale. Now don't get me wrong. You really, really, really need to do that in order to make sure that you know all of the notes of the scale, because if you don't, it's going to be really hard to improvise, especially if you're trying to read this off a page. So if you've internalized the scale, so if it's going to really help, because what we're going to do musically, if you think about that sentence again, I am off to the shops, it would be delivered more naturally like this. I'm off to the shops. I'm going to get some cat food. Is there anything I can get you? Now what I could do is that I could play around with that sentence, like just be like a kid and think, how many different ways could I play around with this sentence in a kind of fun way, just have some fun with it. So look, I could go, I'm off to the shops. I'm going to get some cat's food. Is there anything I can get you? So I'm putting the stresses and I'm emphasizing different notes, and I'm leaving gaps in different places, and really I could take that sentence and I could play around with it virtually infinitely. There's so many ways that I could rework that sentence, and that's what I'm going to do with this. Instead of playing it on the beat, I'm going to stretch out some of the notes and I'm going to go quicker over some notes and slower over some others, just like I did in my linguistic example. But the sequence of the notes doesn't change. That's the really, really important thing. I'm not changing the sequence of the notes. Have a listen. The sequence didn't change, but the length of the notes that I was playing on. And how did I know how long to hold on to them? I didn't. I was just messing around. I was just stretching out some notes. When I landed on a note that sounded nice, I thought, I'll stick around here for a moment. Oops, better go. And then carry on playing. So I would really encourage you to do exactly what I've just done. And do that up and down the scale. And if you can't play the scale in 2 octaves, just try it in 1 octave. And remember, anything you do is okay. It's all good because you're starting to develop your improvisational skills. So when you go into improvisation now, you know what it is that you're aiming to do. The next thing that you can do is to play. So let's have a thing. Ideas. So number 1, play the scale up and down. Play the scale up and down in time. That means in time to the backing track. Number 2, play the scale and have fun. Varying the phrasing and timing. Isn't that cool? Really, really, really cool. Here's another idea. Take the chord tones. So this is the scale, and the chord tones are C, E, G, B and D. And that is the root and the 3rd and the 5th and the 7th and the 9th. That has the octave key on. This is the chord tones. And I could do the same thing. I could just play those straight up and down, and that will already start to sound really, really, really nice. Have a listen. Coming down from there, 2, 3, and. Now, if I do the same thing, but vary the timing, that again will sound like improvisation because it sort of is. Have a listen. Starts to sound really cool, doesn't it? So idea number 3 to get you practicing improvisation is play the chord tones in time. And number 4, play the chord tones not in time. And that would work really, really, really well. Last suggestion that I'm going to make is just have a mess around with these chord tones. D, 9, 7, 5, let's make that 9 a bit more 9-y. 9, 7, 5, 9, 7, I'm going to do that again, 9, 7, 5, 9, 7. Have a listen to how nice that sounds. Do that a little bit more quickly. If I double tongue that D, that's going to sound lovely. Doesn't sound nice? So not in time. And then number 5 is put all of this together. Put all together. So specifically what I'm going to do is I'm going to run up and down the scale, not in time, but the sequence is going to stay exactly the same in the major scale. Then I'm going to play this not in time, so the chord tone's not in time. And then I'm going to do my 9-7-5 idea, 9-7-5. So have a listen to how nice it sounds, and it sounds like lovely improvisation now. Have a listen. Okay, so it's not the world's most sophisticated solo that I've ever heard, but it will get me, or it will get somebody out of the position of being scared and not knowing what to do into a place where they can actually have quite a lot of good fun just playing the scale. So I really do hope that you found that useful. Please let me know. Feedback to me if you did find it useful, or even if you didn't find it useful, please let me know. I'd be so appreciative. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for buying me coffees. Thank you for subscribing. I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye bye.